Hi everyone. Today I've got kind of a neat little dimple lock here. This is a Tesa T60. There's your key. As you can see, there's just one ridge on it. This is only 6 pins, and nothing too spectacular about the construction of it. But the pins themselves are actually pretty interesting, and this was kind of a pain to pick. So I'll just talk about the drivers real quick here. So the drivers, you can see they are symmetrical, they're double-ended. Hopefully what you can tell from this is that they are tapered, and the little ridge here that you can see, that really doesn't do anything. I don't think it interacts with the shear line, or if it does, barely at all. But the tapering is the part that's really maddening about picking this. Tapered pins require you to tap them multiple times because as you lift them, you lift from the kind of thicker part more towards the middle. They get thinner towards the end. And so each individual pin will eventually, as you lift it, stop interacting with the shear line, and one of the other pins will start interacting with the shear line. So you have to go back and forth and pick or lift each pin over and over and over again as they kind of bounce back and forth between which one is interacting. So, and you do all that under heavy tension. Otherwise, you start dropping stuff. So, really kind of a pain to pick. And this lock gave me a lot of trouble learning how to pick it. The key pins themselves aren't super spectacular. They have this top, I think that's an overset trap for you. But then they also have this ridge in the middle that controls how far they go into the plug. This is the shortest key pin in this lock. And if I drop it in, you can see it stops there, but it does not fall all the way in. It only falls partly in. And then because of that, when I put the driver on top of it, you can see that the driver basically stops right there. So that ridge does, I'm trying to feel if it will interact. It might interact a touch with the shear line under tension, but I couldn't really feel it. It's mostly the tapering that you have to deal with on this lock, more so than anything else. So even though it looks like there's like some light spooling there, I don't really think it did anything. And that, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like in here, there's a spot like right there where the chamber gets narrower, and that's what keeps the pin from going all the way down. So other than that, you know, there's some warding in here that was kind of a pain to work around, but pretty simple in its design, but hard to pick. I think I said it's harder to pick than it seemed like it should have been on paper, considering it's just 6 pins and they're all tapered, but definitely gave me some problems, especially because I had to use heavy tension the whole time and my hand was starting to cramp up a little bit. So, but I did get it open, and we'll get over into the next section and we can see it picked and gutted. All right, here is my Tesa T60. I'm picking from the left-hand side with a curved flag, which means I have to do this kind of awkward reach over to do my tensioner, but I'll be okay. These pins do act somewhat tapered, so there's a lot of just revisiting pins kind of multiple times to make sure that they are lifted and set. And there's a couple of tire lifts in the back. That I do need to deal with here. I think that was pin 5, which is a max lift. And I think this is 6 right here. 6 might be okay. One feels okay. 2 feels okay. 3 feels okay. Did I overlift 4? It's possible I overlifted 4. Okay, so a couple things drop there. Six. That was 5. That feels a little better. I'm just trying to find the binder here with these kind of tapered acting pins. I'm feeling a little bit of core movement. Tap these up. It's very subtle though, you probably can't see it. But I can feel stuff moving. Just a slight tiny bit. Was not on the pins there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I got this open earlier. 4 was the problem pin, so I got a little bit of movement lifting 1 there. That was 3. That was 1 again. There we go. Okay. I feel like I've said this a lot lately, but this lock is harder than it has any right to be, given what's in it, which you will see in a second here. All right, so that is open. C-clip off the back here. Use my mini tray today. And I don't even think I need to shim this. Oops. Go that side. Do the drivers first. So I'll show these in more detail, but these drivers are really weird. I don't think the orientation matters, but I'm keeping them oriented the right way. Okay, there's all your drivers. I don't think I'm going to dump the springs, but I'll show you the springs are in there. They're just regular springs. There's nothing cool about them. All right, let's get everything out of the plug here. Brass on brass is a little hard to look at, but that's okay. There's all your pins. So you can see the tops do have those kind of overset traps on them. And if you look at these drivers more closely, so hopefully you can see they are tapered, and they do have one ridge in them, which I don't think comes into play too much. I'm actually gonna, this was the high lift right here. So that's the highest lift that I got. And I think if you put this in, so yeah, maybe that ridge is at shear on that one. So that's the one I had to like click through first. But then after that, you're just dealing with this little tapered section, and just pushing up a million times to click these drivers into place. But you can see even on that here, maybe that way. So even on that, that was the max lift. That pin does not sit all the way into the plug. So the driver never falls that far, because these ridges on the pins, they control how deep it goes. So there's right there one of the min lifts, but that one, you know, it still doesn't go all the way through. So I feel like the drivers only, the only place they really interact is in that tapered section. Yeah, that lock was kind of a pain. It's not ranked super highly on the difficulty scale, but I had a lot of trouble with it, for sure. All right, so there you go. That's gutted. That is a Tesa T60 dimple lock.